Hi everyone, I'm Richard. This is Experience Kills. I'm here with Ben, regular co-host. Hello.
Hello, Richard.
What are we here to talk about, Ben?
Well, we are here to talk about Observer System Redo, or Redux, depending on how you like to pronounce that word, but I personally say Redo, which is the next-gen fancy pants, shined up, looking nice for the Series S and X version of Observer.
I've never heard anyone say redo like that before. That makes it sound like it's, like a northern thing. Got to redo it.
I don't know, why would you... Surely it's not Redux, though. Redux isn't a word.
Yeah, you're probably right, but I don't know. Redo sounds wrong. Should we just call it Observer and leave it at that?
Sure.
Observer has the auspicious privilege of being my first played Xbox Series X game. First game I loaded up.
First one?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So I thought, we've got this code. It's supposed to be new spangly version of a game I've played to death already. Let's see how much better it is. And you want to try and show off your system, don't you? First thing that you load up on a new console. Observer was always a game that had a sort of surface appeal to me. I really like the Cyberpunk setting. I thought it was cool that Rutger Hauer was in it for those Blade Runner vibes. And I like walking simulator stroke horror games. This is one of those. So on the face of it, this is made for me. As I say, I did play it to death, got all the achievements, enjoyed most of it. It does have its problems though, and I suppose going into this I was hoping that those would be overshadowed by far slicker graphics, far tighter performance, and maybe clean up some of the gameplay jankiness as well, because there is a bit of that in there. And I have to say, while it's probably a nice experiment to try out on a new console if you're looking for something to play on your Series X, and let's face it, there's not loads of stuff at the moment that's made for Series X. This is one of the few. I don't know, I'm a little bit disappointed in what it gives back for the initial promise that it puts out, you know. So looking at the new graphics, you've got some ray tracing elements in there. I think it looks a little bit smoother generally, but not as smooth as you would expect compared to a lot of the other Series X games that we've played, where everything is 60 frames. Surprisingly, this is still not, even though there doesn't seem to be a massive overhaul of graphics. They've described it not as a remake, but it's not just a simple reskin either. They have put some work into changing bits and bobs, but you can still see the original textures there, a lot of it quite pixelated. The character models and the environments don't appear to have been upgraded in terms of polygon complexity. There's just a few additional effects put in, so you get the ray tracing, like reflections in glass and windows.
That's what stood out to me.
Some of it looks good, doesn't it? So there's like transparent,
the subtle reflections.
Yeah. So there's like transparent shower curtains or polythene bags draped over monitors. Some of that looked pretty cool, but you've still got that issue of low quality textures. So some of it is lost, really. The effect is lost for me. What did you think?
I think Observer originally was a pretty interesting, visually distinct, it's that mashup of tech and biology, it's quite arresting in its style. And, back on the Xbox One and the PS4, that stood out anyway. I guess what these enhancements are sort of bringing in some games seems to be a more subtle element of sort of realism to an experience, realistic lighting, realistic colouring, and therefore it kind of doesn't make a huge difference to the presentation, I find, of Observer, because it already popped with its neons and its gaudy visuals and stuff like that. It already did that from its art design and its presentation in the original, so it's not like it's changing the whole thing here. It's just basically saying, hey, if you've not played Observer before, maybe now's the time, because we've now got it at a level of realism and immersion that, for a new player coming in would be quite startling and be quite good. I mean, this is obviously the Blooper Team guys, and they were Amnesia, weren't they? The Amnesia games, is that right?
Did they do Amnesia? I know they've done the Blair Witch game. They did Layers
No, so
of
they
Fear.
weren't Amnesia. It was Layers of Fear.
Yeah,
I'm
Layers
sorry,
of
it
Fear
wasn't
1 and
Amnesia,
2
it was Layers of Fear.
and Blair Witch. So they've got a history of this type of game, and I always go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to love this, and then I'm underwhelmed by the performance of the thing, and this is kind of the same, really. I would say it's maybe worth a crack if you haven't played the original.
Yeah, totally.
Not worth playing, not worth buying a second time for the improvements that are there. But yeah, coming to it fresh, there is something to enjoy in this. Rutger Hauer's performance is a bit weird. I can't say it's
Yep.
it's not especially good, but it's cool that he's in there, and some of the stuff that you see in the game is interesting. So you'll have him encounter people in this block of flats where he's trying to investigate the whereabouts of his son, essentially, isn't it? He's trying to find where his son's up to, and he's interviewing the residents of this estate. Those interviews aren't always just a casual chat. Occasionally he will have to jack into their mind via a cable that he plugs into their head to find out what they've seen and what they know, and experience what they've experienced for himself. So those sequences are quite interesting, quite unpleasant sometimes as well. So there's a lot of body horror in this. It's got some interesting bits in there. Just a bit overshadowed by the performance issues and the general feeling that this really should be a lot smoother than it is, especially on a new £450 console, So
yeah, I know. I mean, I got the game when they were offering it for a £5 to upgrade. From the previous version, and I think that's a reasonable proposition at 25 quid or whatever this would be now, full price. If you'd already owned the game on the previous consoles, I think that's fine. Stick with that. You're not getting so much from this that it justifies that kind of outlay. However, it's perfectly fine. And if you're coming to it new, I think if you're in the mood for horror, if you're in the mood for Cyberpunk, while we wait for Cyberpunk, this falls into that window quite nicely. And if you're in the mood for something that maybe is a bit different to everything else that's available right now with Series S and X enhancements, then this falls into that genre of horror, and almost a walking sim, investigation elements. I really enjoyed the different visual filter options you get with this bio mode or electrical mode sort of thing to investigate the rooms you're in. And some of the puzzle mechanics, it's good fun. I think there's a lot of creativity in this game. It's just not really doing a huge amount with the enhancements.
Yeah, that's a shame. But yeah, you're right. Some of that stuff is pretty cool. So you get on the left bumper, if you press that, you get a different vision mode where you can investigate organic evidence. So if you're looking at crime scenes, you'll see blood spatter on the walls, perhaps, or you can investigate what a particular life form is. So it'll tell you the janitor is a human being, although he doesn't quite look human to me. If you press the right bumper, you'll be able to see more mechanical structures and analyze what a computer does, or what a particular chip is for. So that's interesting. So you've got different ways of investigating the environment in those different views, as well as just your regular view. There's a fair amount to see and explore. But yeah, I guess as a new entrant to it, worth a crack. But for old hands, I think you're safe with what you've already got, and that is Observer. So I hope that's useful to you new Series X and Series S owners. Maybe give it a look, but I'm sure there are even bigger and brighter things on the horizon for our new consoles. And that's us. That's Experience Kills. So we'll be back with more content with you shortly. I'm Richard. You can find me on Twitter at Experience Kills. No, you can't. I'll edit that. You can find me on Twitter at Colonel Red. Ben's on Twitter at DIYE, and you can find us both together at Experience Kills. That's it. Goodbye.
Bye.